What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about eccentric versus concentric contractions. Doesn't matter. What's it all about? So when it comes to working out, a lot of us are in the gym and we're doing amazing. We're working out. We have good form. We're consistent. We're just overall doing great. So this video is not to discourage anybody, but just keeping it up. Do exactly that. You know, if you're consistent and you're seeing results, that's great. But what happens is sometimes after a certain period of time, we experience a plateau, or we might just want to up our efforts a little bit. And maybe that's just understanding our body a little bit more. And that's the point for today. So what we're going to be talking about, as mentioned, is eccentric versus concentric. What does that mean? So first off, let's define what these mean. When we think about eccentric contractions, what I want you to think about is the muscle lengthening under a force, right? Or while generating force. So let's take the bicep, for example. Whenever we're lengthening it, right? So it's coming down, all of a sudden the muscle, in simple terms, attaches from here to here. So what happens is that as we're coming down, that muscle is lengthening, but we're controlling the weight, so we're still generating a force. Concentric, what's going to happen is that we're going to be contracting the muscle, so the muscle is actually going to be getting shorter. But as the muscle is getting shorter, we're also generating force. We have another contraction called isometric contractions. And that could be simply put, like if I just keep my arm kind of like this, so I'm not lengthening or shortening, I'm just in a contracted state while generating force. If anybody has had the unfortunate opportunity to do wall sits, so you're basically sitting against a wall, that would be what we would call an isometric contraction. Very often we refer to this as like a static exercise. Another famous one is the plank. We're just holding it, hold. Okay, so now we're going to get into this, eccentric versus concentric. We're going to talk about this very briefly, but hopefully it's going to clarify some things and maybe up your workouts. So the first thing we're going to talk about is increased muscle damage. The second thing we're going to be talking about is high force production. And the third thing we're going to be talking about very briefly is the activation of different signaling pathways. So when we come to increased muscle damage, one thing we have to keep in mind is that eccentric contractions do cause more damage on the muscle fibers than concentric contractions. In every exercise we do, we typically have an eccentric and a concentric. But what happens is that if we start to focus more on the eccentric, this is where we start to have that capability of generating more of those micro tears on the muscle fibers. This damage to the muscle, it serves as a primary stimulus to muscle growth. And studies have shown that has a correlation to an increase in our muscle protein synthesis. For example, there was a study by Frankie et al., and they found that eccentric exercise resulted in a greater increase in muscle fiber cross-sectional area compared to concentric exercise. I'll leave in the description this article, but this basically states kind of what I just said about the increase in muscle damage. Now, we'll go to the second one, which is the higher force production. Muscles can generate more force during eccentric contraction compared to the concentric contraction. This is due to the what's the word I'm looking for? The passive tension from the muscle's elastic component, as well as that second factor of the active tension of the cross-bridging of the muscles, of the fibers, so the cross-bridge cycle. So what happens is we got those two factors. We have the elastic component and we have the cross-bridge component. So all of a sudden we have two components going into the eccentric motion, which ends up having that correlation to the force production. There is an article that I had. Let me see if I can find it quickly. There was some research that indicates that the higher force production during eccentric contraction enhances the mechanical tension on the muscle fibers, which is a critical factor for muscle growth. The study that I'm referencing right now is by Douglas et al. I'll put that down in the description as well. And they highlighted that eccentric training leads to superior strength gains and hypertrophy due to these high force levels. So once again, if you want to take a look at that article, it's super cool. And that basically states what I'm saying. And when it comes to high force and hypertrophy, all of these also are very tightly linked to muscle protein synthesis. Now we have that third one, the activation of different signaling pathways. This one, I feel like it could be a massive topic just by itself. But what we'll do is we're gonna simplify it right down to my favorite pathway, which is the mTOR pathway. Now, this is a very crucial pathway when it comes down to muscle protein synthesis. And it's been shown that eccentric motion, focus on that eccentric motion, eccentric contraction, has a substantially higher impact on that mTOR pathway. Now, this mTOR pathway is crucial for muscle repair, muscle growth, and even adaptation. So we could see how stimulating this pathway could be super beneficial. But I keep on talking about muscle protein synthesis. So what does muscle protein synthesis have to do with increased muscle damage, high force production, activation of different signaling pathways? Why do I keep on talking about muscle protein synthesis? Now, the thing is that without describing each category, because it's somewhat self-explanatory, when it comes to muscle protein synthesis, this is going to be a crucial pathway for muscle growth. It's going to be extremely important for improved metabolic rate. It's going to be very important for injury prevention, without a doubt. And that being said, it's going to be massive for enhanced athletic performance. When I train my clients, I focus primarily at the beginning on many routines with eccentric focused. So let's talk about like 3 seconds down, so your 3 second eccentric, and then like 1 or 2 seconds concentric. And I'm just doing this not to generate more hypertrophy, not to generate more force, but I'm doing it because it's been shown from my 20 years experience. It has illustrated to me to be one of the safest, effective, and efficient ways to get people into shape as far as resistance training. And I just spoke about those 4 key aspects that are benefit for muscle protein synthesis. So next time you're in the gym and you're potentially facing a plateau, or you might feel like things are getting a little stale and you want to switch things up, think about potentially doing those exercises that you know exactly how to do, but introduce a nice 3 or 4 second eccentric contraction and stick to it for like a good 6 weeks. And let me tell you, you are going to see results. I'm not allowed guaranteeing, but I'm guaranteeing. And if you don't, come back and comment and we'll talk about it. All right, until next time, train hard, do your thing. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, all those beautiful things. And I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.